What if I told you that evolution doesn't always move forward? That nature, in rare and mysterious ways, sometimes rewinds itself. Sounds like science fiction, right? But welcome to the world of reverse evolution, where ancient traits resurface, forgotten genes wake up, and biology throws us a curveball. In today's video, we're diving deep into a scientific hypothesis that challenges our linear understanding of evolutionary biology. Is it possible that species, including humans, could revert to a more primitive state? Could our DNA, tucked away with millions of years of genetic memory, suddenly switch gears? The answer is more fascinating, and maybe more unsettling, than you think. Stay with me as we unravel real-world cases, explore genetic mysteries, and question what it really means to evolve. Because in the world of genetics, mutation, and natural selection, sometimes going backward might just be another way of going forward. Let's start with the basics. Evolution, as defined by Darwinian theory, is not a ladder climbing toward perfection. It's a branching process, guided by environmental pressure, survival, and random mutation. But here's where things get wild. Occasionally, organisms express atavistic traits, genetic throwbacks to ancestral forms. We're talking about whales with tiny hind legs, chickens with teeth, and even humans born with tails. These aren't myths or urban legends. They're documented, observable phenomena in the field of evolutionary science. And they raise one very big question. If traits from millions of years ago can reappear today, are we witnessing reverse evolution in action? Modern evolutionary biologists are paying attention. Some suggest that these anomalies aren't just flukes. They're clues to a deeper truth about how evolution actually works. Take whales, for example. These massive sea creatures descended from four-legged land mammals. That's widely accepted in the scientific community. But in rare cases, scientists have discovered whales born with residual hind limbs. We're talking about fully formed bones where legs used to be, millions of years ago. That's not evolution going forward. That's evolution remembering its past. Or consider the humble chicken. Through genetic engineering, researchers have successfully reactivated a dormant gene in chickens, causing them to develop reptilian teeth, a trait they lost during the age of dinosaurs. The gene was always there, just sleeping, like a ghost in the genetic code. When awakened, it doesn't create something new. It resurrects something ancient. These cases aren't about transformation into a new form. They're about genetic re-expression, DNA reaching backward through time to resurrect traits once thought extinct. This raises compelling questions about genetic memory and how deeply evolution is written into our biology. Could it be that evolution is not just a forward-moving narrative, but a more dynamic cycle with echoes of the past constantly resurfacing? This is where the concept of atavism enters the stage. An atavism is a reappearance of a characteristic that had disappeared generations before. These aren't just evolutionary leftovers. They're time capsules locked inside our genes. In humans, cases of babies born with vestigial tails, extra nipples, or fur-like hair conditions are extremely rare, but they are real. These occurrences challenge the idea of a neat, clean evolutionary path. Instead, they suggest a more chaotic process, where genetic mutations, ancestral traits, and random reactivations blur the line between past and present. Scientists studying reverse evolution aren't suggesting we're about to turn back into apes or fish, but they do believe that evolution is not a one-way street. Under the right genetic pressure, ancient traits can and do resurface. Evolution doesn't erase the past, it buries it. And sometimes nature digs it back up. So, is reverse evolution actually possible? Or are we just misinterpreting genetic regression and rare anomalies? The scientific world is divided, and that's where things get really interesting. One of the most well-known voices in this debate is Stephen Jay Gould, the evolutionary biologist and historian of science. Gould emphasized that evolution is not a straight arrow, but a branching tree full of dead ends, loops, and unexpected twists. He argued that what looks like reverse evolution may actually be a side branch, a response to environmental pressure, not a literal rewind of the evolutionary clock. Then there's the concept of evolutionary constraints. According to developmental biology, Once a species loses a trait, say gills or tails, it's extremely unlikely to re-evolve it in the exact same form. The architecture of the genome changes over time. However, if the genetic pathways remain intact, then under certain conditions, those ancient traits might be re-expressed. That's not reverse evolution in the traditional sense, but it's certainly a kind of evolutionary echo. Some thinkers, inspired by epigenetics, have even revisited ideas once considered pseudoscience, like Lamarckian evolution, the idea that acquired traits can be passed on. While Darwinian evolution is still the dominant model, epigenetic markers have shown that environment can impact how genes are expressed across generations. It's not evolution going backward, but it is evolution responding in complex, sometimes unpredictable ways. So maybe reverse evolution isn't about turning back time like some biological time machine. Maybe it's about genetic potential, waiting silently, hidden in our DNA, until something, stress, mutation, environment, pulls it back into reality. The takeaway? Evolution isn't just a story of progress. It's a story of change, of loops and surprises, of adaptations that sometimes look suspiciously like the past repeating itself. In the next segment, we'll explore how this idea has influenced pop culture, conspiracy theories, and the imagination of science fiction writers. Because where science leaves off, storytelling often begins. When science meets imagination, things get weird, and reverse evolution is the perfect fuel for speculative fiction. The idea that humans, or any species, could devolve into primitive forms has fascinated writers, directors, and conspiracy theorists for decades. Remember the cult film Super Mario Bros. From the early 90s? Yes, the movie. It imagined a parallel universe where dinosaurs evolved into humanoid creatures, and some humans de-evolved back into reptilian states. Ridiculous? Sure. But it's based on the idea that evolution is reversible under the right or wrong conditions. In more serious science fiction, authors like H.G. Wells explored similar ideas. His novel, The Time Machine, gave us the Eloi and the Morlocks, two branches of humanity, one having evolved, the other having regressed. The fear that society, or even biology itself, could collapse into chaos is a recurring theme in dystopian fiction. Even shows like The X-Files and Star Trek have played with the idea of ancient DNA, cloning, and genetic manipulation, causing unexpected and terrifying outcomes. These stories tap into something primal, our fear of losing progress, of going backward, of becoming less. And then there are the conspiracy theories. On certain corners of the internet, people claim secret experiments have reawakened ancient human DNA, creating modern-day Neanderthals. Others believe elite scientists are hiding knowledge about genetic reversals that could unevolve the masses. Most of these claims lack any scientific basis, but they show just how gripping the concept of de-evolution can be. Why? Because reverse evolution taps into a psychological fear that everything we've built, everything we've become could unravel, that progress is fragile, and that maybe we haven't come as far as we think. As we look to the future, the question isn't just, can reverse evolution happen, but what happens if we make it happen? With genetic engineering tools like CRISPR, we're now capable of editing the very blueprint of life. Scientists can reinsert ancient genes, repair mutations, even recreate traits that haven't existed for millions of years. This is not science fiction. It's synthetic biology, and it's already happening. There are experiments exploring how to revive extinct species. Projects like de-extinction of the woolly mammoth or the passenger pigeon aren't about time travel. They're about hacking the human genome and animal DNA to bring the past forward. But with this power comes a tidal wave of bioethical questions. Should we reverse evolution? What would happen to ecosystems, to identity, to the very concept of what it means to be human? Because if we can reprogram evolution, are we still part of nature's story, or are we the authors of a new one? So maybe evolution isn't a ladder, but a web. Maybe the path isn't always forward, but sometimes sideways, backwards, or in loops we don't yet understand. Whether you see reverse evolution as science, science fiction, or science flirting with philosophy, one thing's clear: Our DNA remembers more than we think. And in the right hands, or the wrong ones, it could write the next chapter of evolution, not by advancing, but by resurrecting what once was. So, what do you think? Are we truly moving forward, or are we just walking in circles with better shoes? If this made your brain buzz, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into science, myth, and everything in between, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's evolve this conversation together.